It's day 12 of the eruption at Mount Ibu in Indonesia. And today we have some new insights into the magma distribution beneath the mountain, which has been provided by a team of geologists from the Bandung Institute of Technology. They were able to image the magma chamber beneath the volcano using a technique called gravity exploration. This method was also used on Mount Vesuvius to great effect, as you can see in this image here. The color red represents high concentrations of magma, whereas the green and blue colors represent lower concentrations. And what they found is that most of the magma is actually located beneath the northeast caldera, which is this one here. There's actually two calderas. You can see this image here from another angle. This is looking towards the northwest, and this image here is looking towards the southeast. So this is the one that's been erupting. Now, it should be noted that this image only shows us the shallow magma chambers. There's also deeper magma chambers below that, but these are the ones that are readily available to feed the eruption. Now, don't get me wrong, this is plenty deep. This is between 4 and 6 kilometers below the surface. And we know from other studies that there is a magma conduit that extends at least 20 kilometers deep through the Earth's crust. But if you think about the shape of Mount Ibu, the central peak is actually much higher than the surrounding walls. So that means that the magma chamber is actually much closer to the surface in some areas beneath the central peak. That's why it's as important to monitor volcanoes with multiple methods, because each one gives us a different view of the mountain. In this image here, you can see the gravity exploration data in the middle and the seismic data around the edge. The black dots are where they recorded the seismic events. And remember, these seismic events are not necessarily earthquakes. Most of them are actually explosions of gas and magma, which we call paroxysmal events. They typically occur when pressure builds up in the magma chamber and then gets released suddenly. We saw many of these during the 2021 eruption of Mount Ibu. Now, they also collected samples of the volcanic ash and analyzed the gases within it. The main gas they found was carbon dioxide. And by measuring the amount of carbon dioxide, they could determine how saturated the magma was with this gas. What they found was that the magma is actually quite dry, which explains why it's been so fluid and fountaining so easily. This is different to Mount Ibu's previous eruption in 2021, when the magma was much wetter, which is why we saw more of a lava flow and less fountains. This image here shows us the amount of magma the mountain has lost over the past week. They calculated this by measuring the volume of material erupted, taking into account the density of the material and then converting it to an equivalent amount of magma. Now remember, this is just an estimate because not all of the material erupted is magma. Some of it is just rock that was broken apart by the explosion. So this number here is likely an overestimate, but it's a useful one because it tells us how quickly the magma chamber is emptying. And what they found is that the magma chamber is emptying very quickly. It's being depleted at a rate of about 3 million cubic meters per day. At this rate, the magma chamber will be empty in about 3 weeks. However, keep in mind that this is just a snapshot in time. The rate at which the magma chamber is being depleted will change as the eruption continues. It may speed up or it may slow down. One thing's for sure though. The magma chamber won't be empty for long because there's plenty of magma down here just waiting to take its place. But where is it coming from? Well, that's the big question that scientists are working hard to answer. What we do know is that it's not coming from the same place as the previous eruption. That's because if it was, we would expect the magma to be wetter, but it's bone dry. That means that there is a new magma chamber feeding this eruption that is much deeper and much drier than the one we saw in 2021. Now, don't forget, this channel is all about keeping you in the loop with the latest scientific news. So if you want to be kept up to date with the most important discoveries and breakthroughs, make sure you subscribe. And if you want to go a step further and support the production of these videos, consider becoming a patron.